Welcome to the Four Wards Podcast. Hey, what's up? It's Eric Bra, voice of Draven, Jerks, and Vel'Koz. And you're listening to the Four Wards Podcast, here to help you move forward in League.
What is up, everybody? This is the Four Wards Podcast here, coming to you through those beautiful ear holes that everyone has. Okay, now that I say that, that was kind of weird. Anyways, I am haberdashing, and I'm joined by three lovely gentlemen here this evening. What is going on, Badger?
Well, I mean, it's great. I mean, that intro is probably about as good as the sentence that I'm speaking right now. So I give you props for that. That's we both are on a high note so far.
All right, starting off strong. How's it going, Thallium?
Well enough. I am really looking forward to Thanksgiving break. That is not that far away. I'd like to sleep in a little bit past, 6 o'clock at the latest.
Yeah. So
that would be lovely.
Is it a full week for you guys or like long weekend?
Long weekend.
Nice.
I get 3 days off.
Yeah, that's still good.
I'll take it.
All right. Last but not least, the man with the funny hat. It is George.
So you call my hat funny, but not Badger's.
It's American.
Yeah.
My hat is American.
At least mine's topical.
Yes, George is definitely a Pokemon.
And his isn't? I'm sorry, didn't we not just elect a new president like a week ago?
Right, but Pokemon's a worldwide event.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well,
it's very true.
So is the U.S. election.
For our international listeners.
True. I don't know.
We have international listeners. You should write in. I'd love to hear from you.
Oh, yeah.
We've gotten a couple before.
Sweet.
Is there anyone from the Pokemon universe more electable than Donald Trump?
Snorlax.
Okay, good start.
Good start.
George?
Like half of them.
You said
I'd
more
say.
or less?
More.
I would elect the two Team Rocket members, yeah. Jesse and James.
Okay.
At least they'd be funny.
I mean, I'm sure Donald Trump will be plenty funny, too. If not.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
We're going south pretty quickly.
Okay, yeah. Big mistake. Don't talk politics. What I should mention, though, we've gotten some questions about it before. If you guys are looking for a place to talk League of Legends, besides our subreddit, we also have a Discord channel that people can come in, chat, talk shit, questions, whatever, find games. It's all good. To find that, just go to our subreddit at T-Force Network on Reddit, and in the sidebar, there it'll give you a link to the Discord page, and along with that, there's all the other links to like our YouTube and everything else. So please go check that out. One other bit of news here before we get into the rest of the stuff. iTunes reviews. I've been asking you for them for a while. We finally got one in here, so I'm going to read it out, or at least part of it here. And this is a very honest review, and I love it. So solid beginning League of Legends podcast. A great solid team of people with lots of knowledge, entertaining views, and a diverse group of people together make a great cast. That said, while they remain entertaining through a variety of topics, they can fall a bit flat and spend too much time off topic for me. If you're looking for more of a casual League of Legends podcast, then this is for you. If you're looking for something a bit more serious, centered on patches, go to the T-Force proper. And to the guys on the team, I'll continue to listen to y'all, but you need to establish more of an identity. I've been telling you guys to work on accents for a while now.
Back.
It goes on for a little while longer. I just want to say, the Soul Stacker wrote this in. Thank you very much. We always appreciate the feedback coming in. If it's 5 stars, we love you. If it's not 5 stars, we still love the feedback just as much. We're still kind of going through a transition in the Four Wards podcast, trying to decide exactly what it's going to be about. I know I talked about it when we started changing stuff up a little bit. But one of the things we wanted to stop focusing entirely on was lecturing, which is a lot of the podcasts that we had before turned into. We want to turn this into a more fun podcast that also teaches. So a lot of the teaching that is going to come from this podcast now is in the form of the questions that we do get. So if you want us to talk about a certain topic, let us know. You want to learn more about split pushing, write us a question. Top lane, whatever it is. We want to hear you guys' feedback. We want to know what we can do to make the show better for you. So we'll continue to do that.
Also, want to plug our guys who come in and talk about topics.
Yeah, the segments
They're
have been
great.
like a great addition. We're getting together like a bunch of new ones here that are going to start coming out in the next podcast. We have a couple on deck that are being worked on right now. So yeah, it's been a great addition. I love having other people like part of the podcast. So shout out to everyone who's a part of that. Fault Zone, The Old Man, Greg Pett, Projector,
Sith Lord Lummy,
Cosine.
Sith Lord, Cosine,
Cosine,
Nighthawk.
all the guys.
Nighthawk, yeah.
Holy cow, are we forgetting any?
So many.
I think that's everybody so far.
Okay.
I think
I'm just
Doom's
making-
helping with the videos. So
Doom
Doom
is
is
helping
doing
me
video
with all,
stuff.
too. So we're growing our podcast family a little bit more, and it's a lot of fun seeing all this stuff coming out. So, serious stuff out of the way. Let's start talking League of Legends. Let's start with the shit show part. For you guys that have heard anything about FlexQ and the MMR right now, who wants to take the wheel on that one?
I'll do it
Take it,
since I put it
Jesus.
in there. Just they may have even fixed it by the time you hear this. We talk a lot about mentality and going in with the right mindset, and the right mindset right now is your FlexQ games may not be as adjusted as you're used to. They may not be as fair because certain well-known pros like X Special, like Wild Turtle, I heard Meteos, tangentially I Will Dominate. These are challenger professional level players, and they somehow got put in Silver 2 and ended up in games with bronze players, which is not fair. It's not fair at all.
Really isn't.
It's like my middle school basketball team playing the Harlem Globetrotters. Like, wow, that is rigged. That is awful.
That's kind of harsh to Meteos. I mean, he's only a globetrotter.
Well, what else do you want him to be?
Like an
They're-
actual NBA team.
I don't know.
Those
I
guys
thought-
are good enough to be in the NBA.
Yeah.
Are we really nitpicking my analogy right now?
Okay.
Is that how you
It's
want to
just-
spend your time?
I
Settle
mean,
down, George.
Yeah.
But anyway, so if you go in the flex queue, go to learn, go to play, go to enjoy the game, just know that it's going to be a little weird. You may get some games that are horribly, horribly, horribly unfair, and just mentally prepare yourself for that.
Yeah.
Well, as of now, they did it so that you had your 10 placement games, and if you did that already, they had you play another placement game on top of that. Yes, and I know people that were like platinum. They placed like high gold, and then after they played this one placement game, they ended up somehow back in low gold. So it's even better. So maybe they'll fix it eventually. Who knows?
Well,
But
it's
yeah,
still
this is as of
preseason,
Thursday.
so
So
just
Yeah.
roll with the punches.
We'll try to
I
keep
want-
everyone updated.
I also want to say with this, remember this is FlexQ. One of the reasons it's so bad right now is probably the number of people who are going into it using it for solo queue. It was kind of intended to be a group MMR sort of thing, so it's quite possible that things will even out once Riot releases the solo queue again, and all of those people leave and into their own queue.
Yeah. Anything else you guys wanted to add to that point?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
not really.
So a few other things going on. One thing that kind of snuck by, George informed us here this week. I didn't even see it. Coming up, the new League of Legends cinematic universe, or not cinematic. Well,
Well,
It's the
it's
lore. It's like an
lore.
art. It's like a website where
yeah.
They just
Yeah.
dropped like yesterday. I really haven't had a chance to even
Mhm.
take a look through it, but it's got a lot of like art stuff and includes the stories of like from what I've heard of like Piltover and Ionia and all this stuff, and they added a lot of interesting storyline elements to the universe.
Yep. So basically, what this is going to be, well, first of all, you can find it at universe.leagueoflegends.com. It's going to be a whole network of their events. It currently has all the champion bios on them. I think it still has the all of the old bios. Whenever they put up any new stories, it'll show up on there. They have some old concept art up there for various champions, some old concept art up there for regions. Basically, this is where any new information about the background of the characters and the areas is going to come up. And they did an AMA on Reddit the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, we've complained for practically ever how there's no lore to the game. And this, going forward, is going to be the main site to go for any of that stuff. I highly recommend you all to check it out. It's pretty good.
It's definitely something I've been wanting for a while, and I've definitely given Riot shit about it, especially for like Skarner and Amumu, like when they reworked their lore to make it better, and they just deleted half of it, and it became like 2 sentences for each of them. So I'm hoping that this expands it more.
Yeah, and like Fiddle now, for example, is no longer a scarecrow stuck in a closet somewhere.
What?
Like old Fiddle used to be a scarecrow stuck in a closet in the old summoning institution.
Like a
Really?
a literal closet?
Like an actual closet, pretty
Huh.
much.
Like
That's
a room, but still.
Pretty
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
It's-
Just keep an eye on this, follow it.
Riot.
Why would you keep a scarecrow in a closet?
Because you
It's
don't
too
want
spooky to
bring
Rose to
out.
get in the closet.
If it's too spooky, it'll work then. Okay. I'm reading too much into this.
Yeah, you could read a lot into that one and make some terrible
Hey.
jokes, but I think we'll just move on.
You could read a lot into a lot of the lore in there, and I think everyone should
Ayo.
do that. It's still in beta right now, so test it out, see what you like. Sure to be a good time. So stuff from Reddit. What are we talking about this week? Open beta for the new client. What's going on there?
Having issues, which people apparently Reddit needs to learn what a beta is for something again, because they were complaining about all the issues with it, and Riot's like, yeah, we know, that's why you guys are testing it for us. So everyone thought, oh well, this is the new polished
to be
thing. This
fair,
will work well.
The word like beta testing has really warped recently.
Yeah.
Beta testing has gone from no, really, you need to test this to oh, let's beta test it by really just giving you a free preview for a weekend and then convince you to buy it. Like,
Or like
beta
pre-orders
testing
getting it,
Overwatch
or-
or beta testing Diablo 3 back in the day
Yeah.
was almost very much an advertisement as much as anything else.
Yeah.
So, to Reddit's credit, they've been conditioned to think this is going to be polished and almost ready to go. And in this case, I guess it's not. I haven't downloaded it
To be
yet. So I
fair,
haven't
like
tried it.
it's been in alpha for like a year now, I think.
Been in alpha
So
for a
it's
while.
just
It's
getting
been in
out
there
of-
for a while.
just getting
One
out
of the
beta.
things that I downloaded it and I was using it.
Mhm.
It looks smooth. You can tell there's some like spaghetti code issues at sometimes. And one of the other things I was going to when I was streaming the other day, I was going to use it. The client window doesn't actually get picked up by OBS.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
It does not.
Fun fact.
That's
They're
right.
working on fixing that, but currently
Yeah.
it does not.
So
I mean, like
don't know,
if you use like a screen capture instead of a window
If
capture
you-
to show up,
if you
or is
use
this like a
monitor cap, it
vampire
works.
for some reason.
Yeah.
If you use monitor cap, it works fine. But if you try and window cap it, it has issues with being actually picked up. So,
Okay.
fun fact.
Good to know. So yeah, just keep in mind it's in beta right now. It'll probably be released. Give it a month or so, I think, at this point in
Probably
beta.
with the new season,
Yeah.
most likely.
It does look pretty good for the most part, though. So
Like
Keep an
at
eye
the
on
end
it.
of the day, it's still definitely an upgrade. Yeah. One interesting thing that popped up here, and I think it'd be an interesting thing to discuss here, see what you guys think. There was a thread on Reddit coming up, the 2 million mastery points, Smite support Singe. Went to Reddit talking about his threat of a permaban. And, like, TLDR, the whole point of it was this guy, he's been playing support Singed with Smite for a long time. He wrote to Riot saying, why have I been banned before? Why am I getting threatened about permaban? And their whole Riot's position was, what was it? Here, let me open it up. Your account was manually audited and was found to be engaging in negative behavior. This is different from the instant feedback system. Your account was found to be affecting a lot of players negatively and therefore have been placed on 2-week suspension, yada, yada, yada. While Singe support isn't inherently bannable, refusing to work with your teammates is. This includes communicating with your teammates and what you want to do, stuff like this. So I kind of want to open the floor up here. We'll get into more discussion, but I just want to know what you guys think of this whole thing, because in a way this has been something that we've talked about before on the show.
Anybody else want to go first?
Well, we've talked about playing, like, I think Zig's Top comes to mind, where you're playing something that's not usually played in the role that it's played in, and yeah, I guess it could work if we want to, like, we can rationalize it here and there. And even support Singe doesn't sound like the worst thing I've ever heard.
Well, to be fair, the main problem wasn't picking Singed.
Yeah, I was building up to that. I'm not sure what the smite is for. But anyway, like, if Riot manually went in there and said, hey, it's not because you're playing Singe, it's because you made no effort to communicate to your team that you were doing this on purpose, and you do this a lot, and a plan for how this game is going to go. I think the onus is on the player. If you're playing something that's very much not in the norm, the onus is on you to tell your team what to expect and how to play around you.
In terms of like play pattern and movement, not necessarily like character.
Yeah, because like I don't even know what. I guess Singe is gonna run in and flip someone every once in a while, and then take off into the jungle with his smite to. I don't even know how that would play.
Okay.
The way you want to go ahead and explain it?
No, I was actually going to ask you as an ADC. So, how would you feel if you're Singed? Okay, so basically, the Singe, what he would do, was he would take Ghost Smite. I think it was Ghost. Or
it was Ghost Smite.
Ghost Smite, and then he might be there in the bottom lane for like the first wave. I can't remember.
He would alternate between, like, at points he would roam and he would actually invade with his jungler, and he would create pressure on the enemy jungler while leaving his AD carry in a 1-on-2 scenario.
So he wasn't invading with his jungler. He was invading so his jungler could take his jungler at the same time, which is a big point.
Yeah, I guess. That was what it was.
He couldn't have queued up for the jungle because then he couldn't have both taken their jungle and the enemy's jungle at the same time. One of the big sticking points was that he could only have queued for support for this to have worked, theoretically.
Yep. So
But what does that do?
So he wasn't actually supporting. He was playing like pure counter jungler.
He was a counter jungler.
Right.
Oh,
that occasionally roamed back bottom.
Occasionally.
Something, I don't know. But tell me, Badger, as an AD carry, what does that do for you?
Well, it puts you into a terrible position, let me tell you, because that really sets up, like, how basically it kind of reminds me of how, like, the lane swaps worked with, like, the top laner getting basically destroyed. Like, you sacrifice the top laner's farm and gold to get your AD in an advantageous position, except this is the opposite case. You're counter jungling to get yourself in a good spot, just so that your AD carry can get, like, no farm, probably zoned off the wave a lot, take any poke damage if he even walks into range of it. And you really can't tell him to play safe in that situation and expect it to work out really well, unfortunately. So I wouldn't be too happy if I saw it, but if he picked before me, I'd try and pick something like, I don't know, Graves or something that can survive lane, like a Caitlyn, like either a long range or like a Graves, because Graves can kind of walk up a little bit. He can take a little bit of a hit, go in to get some farm, and then he can back off for a second. So
So if someone explained to you in Champs like what they planned on doing, you try to pick around it.
And I believe he did like have a copy paste paragraph that he defaulted every champion select, but
Yep.
he would still do it regardless of what the response was.
Yep.
Like even if his team hated it, he would copy paste it, then do it anyway.
Mm.
So my thing with this is that a lot of people were saying it wasn't trolling because it worked and he had a 53% win rate. Even if that was true, and that's questionable because that includes games and other roles. Even if that was true, Riot has repeatedly come out and said sometimes some ways to win the game are not okay.
yeah,
Well, right,
on the
it's not
same
banning him
hand-
because
No, it's if the way you win the game is detrimental to the experience of your entire team, then it's not okay. Riot has basically said.
this is basically
they've-
just Riot saying, here's the meta, here's what we want you to do, play it, or this is going to happen.
It's not even really
I don't
that
think that's what they're
because
saying,
No, but,
because
they're saying don't be an
issue with-
asshole.
Yeah, the issue with this
Yeah.
guy was that he, like, if he had done this and his team, and he didn't have every team report him for this, he would have been fine. He wouldn't have gotten the audit. Like Trick, for example. Trick has his whole split push, open the gates thing. He has been reported probably more than like 80% of the players, just because that's an annoying thing to have in your team. He has never gotten, according to Riot, an audit or a automatic ban or anything.
it's also I
Do you
think
think he's
where
really
he
getting
is.
reported then?
No,
I don't think he's actually
but-
getting reported.
If Trick was playing in silver or bronze games, I think he would be getting reported a shit ton. If he's playing where he is, no.
No,
Like
yeah, I
people,
mean,
I think higher up are more tolerant of
Right. Okay.
different things.
Regardless of that, my point was that if enough of the games he's been on, because he's had a 53% win rate, he's winning half of them. If you get reported on only half your games, then you're not going to go through the manual audit like that.
Yeah, like this is
If he's being reported by teams he's winning on,
well, it's probably not the teams that he's winning on. Like usually, I think the way it goes is you pick something that's not conventional or a little weird. Your team's a little leery about it. You get into the game, you win. Your team doesn't do anything. They're just like, okay, whatever, good for you. You won that game. You lose though, and it's instantly, 100% your fault, and your team, like the whole side of your team's gonna report you. And
I mean,
that's not anything too new.
the whole crux of Riot's argument here, though, was that you're creating a toxic environment for your team even when you're winning. Like that was Riot's entire argument for it. And
No, I don't entirely disagree
and
with
to
that.
me, that tells me that even the teams he's winning on are reporting him.
Yeah, which
And
Yeah.
and if that's the case, like, then honestly, that's not okay. Riot has said winning is not the only goal. Some ways you win, like, aren't okay.
yeah, but at the same time, like part of their summoner's code is, listen, you can't just report someone for playing something that's not, like within the defined meta.
Right, but there's a difference between
no,
that
I
and
understand.
creating.
But it's like
a porn bot.
it's an issue between Riot and the community. Like
Mm-hmm.
ideally, Riot would love it if anyone could play whatever they want.
Yep.
The problem is, it's like once meta gets established, and especially like in a ranked atmosphere, people want to win, and the meta usually is the way people know how to win. And when people vary outside of that, people get pissed.
Yeah, the other comment with this is that this would all be solved if he would just do it with an AD carry that was okay with it.
Right. No, that's totally fine. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if you go into like champ select and say, "Hey, I have this thing Singe support that I play. I do fairly well on it. Are you guys okay with that?" I mean, you can solve
Yeah, I
half your
feel like-
problems just with that.
I feel like he's doing that. There's a huge difference. Like, hey, I'd like to do this. It works really well. Can I do this? Versus, I'm gonna do this.
Right.
Screw you guys if you don't like it. Like, one of those creates a toxic environment. The other one is like, oh, that's all right. Because like I said in the pregame show, I had a Callista Vayne support bot lane earlier today, and it was just like, well, that's
Different.
all right. Whatever. Let's roll with it. That was fine. And that's a different than like Vayne saying, I'm going to do this. Screw you guys if you don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm going to try this. And we're like, sure. Let's see how this goes. And I actually got like first blood. And it was just a giant fiesta down there. It's weird. It's a very weird
Sounds
game.
like bottom lane.
As one does.
But like, I think it is a team game, and if you're indifferent to the emotions and feelings and like team harmony, that's when Riot gets pissed at you.
Yep.
Yeah. So I
Yes.
guess the lesson from this is if you're in games, try to be more tolerant when people pick something that's not meta, and if you're one of those people that pick something that's not meta, try to play with your team. Let them know what you're doing.
Yeah, and try to help them play with you. Like,
they're in the game too. It's not just your game.
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
So I think we land somewhere in between on this issue. But it's
hard to
Definitely,
know
it's-
without like reading the chat logs.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. But it's definitely like an ongoing issue. Is meta too big now? Is it too well defined? Are we too like boxed in with a meta? And like to some extent, I think it is with the way that
But
I see
also-
like people reacting in the threads.
But also, at some point, you have to sacrifice a bit of that if you want the role selection system like it is.
Right.
Ugh.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Trinket tips from Summoner School this week. Guess what? You can earn 16.3 gold while banking and an additional 14.3 gold if you spend 7 seconds regenerating. How about that? So that equates to... Wait, that's not even one potion.
30
now.
gold.
It's 30 gold, but just
It's
like
30
you can-
gold. But if you're looking for your BF sword and you back on 1275 and you're
Yeah.
at like 20% health, you'll get enough gold so that you can just keep walking off the fountain and you can buy your BF sword and not have to worry about it.
Yeah, even though you didn't have quite enough when you first backed.
Yep.
I put it in there because I always knew, like, yeah, I'm going to get some gold on my way back, but having the numbers like, oh, it's 30. That gives me a clear vision of, like, oh, all right, so I can back at this point and be fine. Oh, but if I backed earlier, I'd have to spend an extra 5 seconds just waiting for that item.
Yeah. And when you look at it, that's a whole minion. So if you're, like, wanting to stay another way for just a single minion, then this will
Just
help
pays.
take off some of that risk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That covers it, I guess.
What's with the
Sneeze.
input buffering with flash changes?
Oh, God, I noticed this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed it as well.
I'm trying to pull up that thread here again. We can go on to the next thing and come back. to it.
Basically,
Okay.
well,
I mean, I can
me-
explain it pretty well.
Yeah, I was about to
Okay,
say
yeah, go
one of
ahead.
us could explain it.
Yeah, you go, Badger.
Okay, so basically, one of the things you could do as Annie is you could put the Tibbers where you wanted to drop it, and then you would flash, and Tibbers would instantly go off. Now, if you do that, like you Q Tibbers, and then you flash, it doesn't cast Tibbers. So that gives a moment
Yeah.
of like a split second where you can actually, you have to flash, and then you have to recast the spell where you're going to land it. So
Yeah, and this wasn't a purely Annie thing. This was just
Right.
one of her core mechanics. Basically, for any targeted spell, like whether a single target or AOE, that wasn't attached to your champion. Like certain ones, like Annie's W or Cho'Gath's
Right.
Scream, are attached, and those don't work. But any other targeted spell, they can just target anywhere and walk towards. You can either flash then cast that, or you can cast that and then flash. So normally, if you cast that outside your range, then your champion will walk towards it and cast it when it's in range. It used to be that that while you're walking towards that area, you could flash and it would queue up the spell instantly the moment it could. This is pretty important because if you flashed and then cast the spell, you have a mechanical delay of about probably a quarter of a second, just between the flash ending and you pressing the button. Whereas, so like, for example, let's say you were Gangplank and you're trying to parlay an enemy, Q. You can flash and then try to Q them. However, during that 0.25 seconds, they have a chance to flash outside of your range. But if you targeted them first and then flash into the range, the parlay would go off instantly. And even if they flashed, you would still have hit them. Now, though, that doesn't work. We're not entirely sure whether it's a bug or intentional. I don't think Riot's come out with anything yet. But basically, you can't do that anymore for whatever reason.
Yes.
Interesting.
So I thought it was a cool thing to throw in there if you didn't know already what input buffering was or if it's been changed. Yeah. So that's that. So, hey, we actually got some questions from Discord here this week, so I thought we'd go through them. Some of them are not as serious as others. Yeah. Good place to throw in information and questions, too. Yeah, Thalum, you want to take the first one?
The first one is there is a new mastery, Courage of the Colossus, which, to read it off precisely, gain a shield for 10 plus 10 per level plus 7% of your maximum health for each nearby enemy champion for 4 seconds after hitting a champion with a hard CC. A hard CC. We talked about this in the proper, things like stuns and snares, but it's not things like slows. And this is the new hotness. It's probably going to get nerfed, but you can use it while it's there.
Yeah.
And it's great for tanks, things like Maokai and Scion Qs. So the question specifically was, who is Courage of Colossus good on? Nautilus comes to mind because he can just auto-attack someone and get a giant-ass shield on top of shields on shields on shields.
Right.
Skarner, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But not so much on things like maybe support MF.
Right.
So make sure if you're gonna get it on someone with some solid, easy, hard CC.
Yeah. So one of the interesting things I saw about this was that it's not when you apply the CC to that amount of enemies. It's if you apply a CC to an enemy, it counts the number of enemies within a range.
Right.
So even if it's a single target CC, you'll get the shield for all of the enemies in that area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So just like land a Maokai root onto a single enemy in the 5-man team, still get full shield.
I can't think of a like just straight tank or off tank support that doesn't have at least some form of hard CC that this wouldn't already be good on. Yeah, like when Thalion says it's the new hotness, it is for right now, and we'll see what gets changed to not make it as good, because guarantee it's going to be coming.
It's really good.
It's really good.
Actually,
like basically, if you're not an ADC or mage,
it's a
Take it.
yeah.
I forget, it only procs off of champions, so it's not as applicable like in the jungle as is.
I mean,
the one
even
that
like Vi
replaced
and Hikram, I've seen running around.
Zach's the big one that runs it.
Yeah. Okay.
I would probably still take it on your junglers.
Okay.
Well, the follow-up question to that, actually, Urtai, I was talking to Urtai, he's a community member earlier today. His question was like, okay, so they're going to nerf it at some point.
Right.
If they nerf it, are tanks still going to be good with all the new flat armor pen changes?
Yes.
That's
sure.
what he was pondering.
Yep.
The flat
armor
armor
pen
changes are good for tanks.
Flat armor pen has always been better against carries than it is for tanks.
Yeah. If the changes did anything, it was better for tanks anyways, because it just like flat armor pen just got nerfed basically.
Yeah.
So it's tanks aren't suffering. The assassins that came out, if they're going to continue to be played, it also promotes more of a tank meta anyways. So tanks, are the new hotness right now.
Play more Cho'Gath.
Play more. I wouldn't mind that.
AD carry Urgot.
Jesus Christ. The thinking like that was a thing for a little tiny while.
I honestly
played Urgot mid into Zed.
Yeah, Bjergsen Zed.
Yep.
And beat him. And that prompted everybody to play Urgot into Zed.
Yep.
God.
It's fun stuff.
What a time to be alive.
I'm not sure who I feel worse for, the Zed player or the Urgot player.
Definitely the Zed player.
Urgot's fun to play. I don't know what you're talking about.
I like Urgot. I
actually really like playing Urgot.
But you have to look at him the entire game.
Then play this. Oh, wait, that's not a thing. Crab God.
play Crab God, yeah.
Crab God
Battlecast.
All you rich people. God.
Battlecast is a good one as
Crab
well.
God is one of like the really like shitty like cheap skins, isn't it? It's only like 520.
Yeah.
It's 520.
And it is just amazing.
But no.
Until
I think I think Urgot might be good this season.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy for me saying it, but Urgot might make a return at some point this season.
I'll keep an eye on it.
Are you basing that off of anything?
I mean, I just have like this weird feeling about stuff.
Are you gonna pull that out? Tell me you're not gonna pull it.
Maybe.
For everyone listening, it's not what you think.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it.
My God, it's a podcast.
I think Graves is honestly
right.
Graves and Urgot are two sleeper OP 80 carries right now.
All right, calling it now, I guess.
Oh, there's a secret tip of the day.
Yeah.
No one
I
this
mean,
is Badger's thing.
Someone's got to replace Lucian.
Oh, God damn it.
Speaking of Lucian, Fervor of Battle.
What?
Didn't you have a soapbox about that?
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, let's just move soapbox to soapbox here. Why not?
I don't want to. Actually, I'm just gonna make this quick. Basically, Riot took what was good.
Left, so let's cut it down to.
Riot took what was good about taking Fervor over Warlords, which is burst trades, especially with characters like Lucian and stuff like that, and you can ramp up. They gave us like this. What was the mastery like? Battle Trance, where you like gain 5% damage over time, which really isn't actually that worth it because you gain 1% damage every second up to a cap of 5. When really you could go just with old Fervor. And please, Riot, this is my plea. Bring it back. You already killed crit build, or you already killed pen build Lucian. Just I gotta play crit Lucian without Fervor. So
it'd be nice if the big change on it that killed it for you was the fact that it doesn't stack on skills anymore, right?
It's just on auto attacks now.
Right.
They took
Holy
out
crap.
any ability. Except I did test it. Ezreal Q does, in fact.
Well, I mean,
I guess those are
Because it
coded
applies
as
on-hit
others.
effects.
Right.
So Ezreal is the only AD carry with an ability that can proc Fervor.
It would still be really good on Ezreal, because the one change that I think still makes Fervor at least not awful.
It gives you flat AD instead of
right.
like,
That's the thing. Instead
Which
of
you can
just
lifesteal off of.
adding damage,
Which you
to
can
your
lifesteal
auto
off of.
attacks, it does add
But-
AD, so it will also impact your abilities as well.
I don't know. I think Warlords is the more optimal AD carry mastery for the season, but
Okay.
I'm still
It's
testing
so
stuff.
safe.
It's just Warlords is just the safe choice. When you
Question: have you tried Thunderlord's Lucian?
too long of a cooldown. It's like 25. What is it? Like a 25 second CD or something? 30?
25 to 15 based on level.
25 to
okay.
15. I mean,
I mean, you're not.
but
gonna
really,
get the
how
proc
are you gonna
twice in an extended fight? That's the max. But
when you get late game? But like when you just go for burst trade early on, you have to, instead of playing off of your like 17-second CD dash, that'll go down to about 14 after a trade, depending on how well you can proc light swing or passive. You have to basically wait. You'd have to play around Thunderlords too much. I mean, I can see it working, but Lucian's just kind of one of those ones that he wants to be in your face, like
Right.
any chance that he can get, and I don't want to have to wait
Especially if
for.
you're in top lane.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
Yeah.
like one trade a wave.
Yeah. I mean, it is.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I could see it working, but I just need to play around with it.
Give it a try on your Smurf and report to me.
I will. I'll come back next week with a report on Thunderlord Solution.
Okay. Last things here. So, who wrote the "Don't Chase" update?
That was me.
Okay.
So, rule of League of Legends is don't chase Singed. Update: don't chase Talon through a jungle because of parkour.
You're not gonna catch him.
You're not gonna. If he's anywhere near a wall, he's gonna jump over that wall. Then he's gonna jump over the next wall. Then he's gonna jump over the next wall. And by the time you run around the first 2 walls, he's in his base,
Yeah.
giggling maniacally.
Or he's circling around using the walls, coming back to you.
Yeah,
I actually was laughing my ass off the one day. I played. There was a Talon on my team. Like we had a team fight at their inhib, and we were going back to Dragon. And I was like, I'm finishing off the turret, and as soon as I turn around, I make it like just past like the first wall. He's already in like the dragon pit. Like, all right, guys, let's go. Hurry up. Come on. I'm beating on this thing already.
Yeah. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see,
So-
like,
Go watch.
in a blind pick game, Talon versus Talon, a Talon chasing a Talon around in the jungle. Like-
One for all talent. There we go.
Oh God!
Oh my god!
Jesus Christ!
What
I
have
wanna
you
see
done,
that now.
George?
Just parkour city.
You should. When that comes back around, we need to queue up. So between the 3 of us, we'll get talent.
They should.
4 of us.
They
Yeah,
should
we
just
do.
make like a game mode, like just Talon, and decrease the cooldown, like on the walls.
They
You just
did. And
keep
called
doing
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. God damn it. It basically is now. If you like that. Okay. Where are we at now? Do we not want to talk about the Quinn question?
I think we should
Just
skip it.
skip it.
I think
Okay.
that's just Punch making fun of me. I was like,
Alright.
does anyone have any questions on Twitter? And I play with Punch earlier in the week, and then I went like 15-1 on Quinn, and then we lost the game, and I finished like 16-8. So he's like, how do you not throw? I'm asking for a friend, honest. I'm like, ah, screw you, Punch.
Keeping up
Although
the
looking
banner.
back, we needed to like group and end the game at like 25 minutes, and I should have stayed with the people who had, crowd control.
Yeah.
And I probably should have built Quinn better. My build was not good. So yeah. Also, they had a Nasus. We needed to end that game way sooner than we tried to.
So much NASA's going around right now.
He's not bad.
Okay.
So use your strengths. End games when you can. Don't showboat.
There you go.
SKT for Samsung Game 3.
Jesus Christ. No, moving on.
PTSD.
Okay. Yeah. No, just at the end of that game, I was like, I just wanted them to win. I was tired. I was really tired. And just like,
I was
fuck is it
hyped.
78 minutes? Just,
I
God
was
damn it,
so
why?
pumped. I mean, I gave up on them in like 20 minutes, and then like 30 minutes later, I'm like, oh, this game is still going.
it's gonna keep going for another 20 minutes. Oh,
All right.
God.
So questions.
Yeah. First one from Jennifer G. I have a question about keeping track of timers. I'm working on improving my game, and the current task I'm trying to improve on is keeping track of timers. I already am in the habit of using a new ping system to let my teammates know when I see opponents use summoner spells, but while those pings do provide timestamps, I have a hard time remembering about them all the time. My problem is the sheer amount of information available to me. Apart from needing to keep track of my own team's information, such as whether my top laner has TP, there are 5 enemy champions with 2 summoner spells apiece. If also want to remember Sir high impact ultimate abilities, it's a lot of information to try to keep in my head all at once. I've been trying to concentrate on just timing flashes lately, and when I ping them, I make a mental note that, okay, Miss Fortune just used flash, yada yada. Basically, League is a very complicated game. How do I improve on keeping track of summoner spells and ult timers with everything else I need to think about? What do you do to keep track of them?
That's a good question, actually. So, the first thing that popped in my head when I read this is, first off, instead of just pinging summoner spells, make sure you type it in chat as well. Well, I mean, pings will show up in chat, but make sure you keep, like, just as long as there's a bookkeeping record of it, and as long as your teammates don't flood the chat, you can hit the Z key, and that actually expands your chat box, so you can roll through, and then you can take that information, and just like when you're driving a car, like most people do you guys, I for one, check both mirrors. I'll go through like a rotation of stuff. I'll do like look out the front, look at my speed, look at both mirrors, and then look at my rear view, and then go back to the center. And I'll do that every once in a while, just like getting kind of into the habit of checking to make sure getting all of
Looking
the
at your-
information that you
Like
possibly
every couple hours, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, looking every couple of hours. You got me.
It allows just enough time for a nap.
Yes. So just get in the habit of like, instead of just fixing on one thing, just like check. Because one of the things that I do, and people ask me all the time, is like, you were streaming the other day and I saw you hitting the tab key a lot. Why were you doing that? Because tab key shows your teammate summoner spells, it shows the items, and it shows a nice little question mark against anybody who is missing off of the map. So you can also use that as like your own little missing in action kind of thing. That doesn't mean you don't ping missing in action, because that's one of those things you do. So anybody else want to explore on this one now?
Hitting the tab key is actually better now because now they auto arrange people according to role. So like top is top, jungler's jungler, mid ADC support. I tried to go in there and rearrange them just today. I'm like, oh, I don't have to do anything. I don't know what to do while I run to my position. So that's convenient, and then it's a good way of keeping track of what's going on, basically. Am I winning? Am I losing? Do I have item advantage? Do I not have item advantage? Oh, wait, that guy has Thunderlords and Ignite. I should not try to all-in them at level 1, because that seems unwise. Things like that. As far as this one goes, if you're keeping track... I mean, I'm not good at this either, I'll be fair. But one of the things I'm trying to do now, at least when I play 5s, is you're playing with people in comms, and you seem to be talking about you're playing your teammates. Hopefully you're playing with your team regularly. Make a plan. I think that might help. You can say, okay, so-and-so's flash is down. Jungler, come. When are you coming? Like, establish a plan. Like, all right, I'll come in 2 minutes after I take this camp, buy this item, clear this camp, then I'll come, sort of thing. That might be... Then you don't have to time it out as much. You just have to say they're going to come at this point, and then their flash is down, so we should be able to get that kill.
Right, like if someone blew an early flash at like 2 minutes and 30 seconds up in top lane, make a mental note to yourself saying, okay, I need to be up there before 7 minutes and a little change, giving yourself some time to set everything up.
Okay,
go ahead. Go ahead.
So actually, a fun thing you can do is that after probably about 7 minutes into the game, your own summer spells will kind of be on rotation. And it's probably the easiest way to do it for yourself is to time the enemy summer spells against yours.
Okay.
So, like, if you blow a flash while fighting your laner, and they also flash, your flashes are going to be up at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
If you blow a flash, and then like 2 minutes later you see the enemy blow theirs, you know you have the rest of your timer plus about a minute, or plus like 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's something you can do to just, if you don't have the time, quote unquote, to type it in, like I avoid doing it because I'm lazy, but whatever. If you don't have the time to really plan it out, that's probably the easiest way you can judge it, just against your own cooldowns.
Okay. Yeah, you're not going to be able to keep track of everyone's summoner spells, everyone's ultimates in the game. That's, up to 30 different timers besides buffs and other objectives that you need to keep track of. So, I mean, I think you had the right idea, like focusing on the ones that matter, but ask yourself if you're going in to engage what needs to be up, what needs to be down on their side in order for this to work. And just focus on those ones. There's a couple ones you can leave out on the wayside, like certain support ultimates, or ones that aren't as consequential. And just kind of narrow in on those. That's because, like, unless the rest of your team is helping you and you're in comms, you're not going to be able to keep track of everything.
And it helps to sort of delegate. Like, each top laner should know the other's teleport timer, for example.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And just
Mids.
enemy laners should know when the others blow flash against each
Right.
other.
Bot lane supports generally keep track of that stuff. Mid
Yeah.
laners keep track of. Well, since most mids these days don't even run teleport, they run Ghost. And Flash.
And Ghost is always up, so
Ghost
Yeah.
is always up. Don't worry
Ghost
about
is
that.
always
Just time
up.
flashes. So
yeah, it's and
Good mid
like,
laners do, like George. I do
And-
not,
and you can always just
because I'm bad.
if you don't know, you can ask and play safe is the other option. Like you're never going to be caught by surprise if you assume it's up.
I mean, I feel like it's one of our more advanced
Yeah.
skills. Like it's one of those things that will separate your low plat from your high plat, knowing your timers.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a good thing to keep track
So
of.
if it's frustrating, I mean, good on you for noticing that this is something that you want to improve on, identifying where you want to get better, and then working at it.
It's something that takes a lot of time, and you're going to be frustrated at yourself halfway through it because it is a lot to learn.
So much
but
information.
But it's a big step. It is a huge step. And then like the step after that is, okay, are you making sure that you're able to apply with all that information that you have? Because if you're not doing anything with it, what was the point? You know, like we said before, like you can track all the flash timers that you want if you're in jungle, but unless you're ganking when flash is down, you're just wasting your time.
Mm-hmm. It's just a
Alright.
waste of information at that
I
point.
feel like
Yeah.
we've blown a lot of flashes in fives and then never capitalized.
Yeah. But like learning to recognize when that happens, so when the next time that does happen, you can make sure that you do something about it. You got 5 minutes to do something. It's a good window. Take the time, get stuff set up. Yeah. Any other points you guys want to make on that one?
I'm good.
You
Should I read
ready?
the next one?
Yeah, you ready for a relevant question?
All right. Eric F. I started League as a mid lane Heimerdinger, but for the past few months I've been playing support. At first I thought Heimer would work fine as a support with his passive and his slow, but it doesn't seem to work. Then I thought I would try my second love, Orianna, but this never seems to go well with the group I play with. Finally, I bought Ivern since he seemed like the ideal support, but again, no one is willing to call him a support. So I have to ask, what makes a support a support?
Whew, buddy.
Wow.
What makes a support a support? It's changed a lot. I don't think there's ever one.
Well,
Well, there's the only definition I can think of is, are you doing what you can to increase the gold differential between your AD carry and the enemy AD carry, and 2, are you doing the same thing to help your team?
well, yeah.
Can you do it with the minimum amount of gold?
That's
Right.
that's the main thing.
That's an important
Supports
thing,
have
too.
to be able to operate under minimum income.
Yeah.
And Orianna does not do that.
Right.
Not at all.
You're looking for people with
Okay, so-
skills that do things. And
Like,
those
can
could
you
be,
kind of like go through why doesn't Orianna work on like a low budget?
I would say that I mean she's got a shield, and she's got a slow, and she's got a big area effect, crowd control. So you think those would work, but I feel like Ori, the bases aren't huge. The scaling is what's important. So which
It's
means
just-
she needs ability power, which means she needs money.
Yeah. So
and
the thing about supports is their base damages tend to be a little bit higher,
Yeah.
but their scaling isn't as great with items because realistically, this was back in like season 4 when if you had a pair of tier 2 boots, a sight stone, and maybe like 2 completed items in like a 45-minute game, you were rolling in Skrilla.
Or
So,
like even back
Or-
to season 2, where it would
yeah.
be a pair of normal boots, not upgraded,
yeah.
and 5 stacks of wards.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you'd sometimes get like
Oh,
mobility boots.
and a Phyto Stone. I'm sorry.
Right.
Philo Heart of Gold. Rip.
But-
Cage's lucky pick. Forgot about that
Oh,
one.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah. Good stuff. I mean-
So I mean, because your supports will run the gamut, and it changes from season to season. But the idea is they can do something pretty easily without too much money, and that ranges from like your tanky All-Stars who wants to flash Q, pulverize, knock people up in the air, and then like that should get most of the job done, all the way to the other end where you have people poking you out with Zyra because of her high base damages and low scaling,
Mhm.
or Annie who had like the easiest stun in the world,
Right.
which is why people played her as support for a long time. She
Well,
could
plus,
engage.
like, yeah, her base damages at that point when she was being played as support were just ludicrously high.
Along with her auto attack range.
Also, she had
Right.
like her softball pitcher arm.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
all those things together made her an ideal support. And I want to make one quick point here. Like the ones that you listed, like support Heimerdinger, support Oriana, those two, they want to be aggressive, and in the right situations, I could see them working. If like those are the champions you like to play, and you get people to go along with it, they can work as long as the person that you're with is willing to be aggressive and can function well in that sort of environment. Ivor's
Well-
kind of a like totally different thing, but
Like the Ori, for example.
yeah,
Ori, to go more in depth with what Thalion was saying, if you play a support Ori, 3 of her spells are useless, basically.
Pretty much.
Her Q doesn't matter because your ball should be on your team, like until like level 6. Her speed up and slowdown doesn't matter until it's max rank, and at that point, it's so mana costs so much mana you can't spam it on the support budget. Her passive only matters until like level 5, and then she doesn't reach her only hard crowd control until an ultimate, which bottom lane gets the last in the game usually.
yeah.
Especially support when you're down on experience.
So like
Like,
you have to be able to accept that you're going to be the bottom tier for your team. And I don't mean that like in a disrespectful way or anything to anyone who plays support, but you're not going to have the gold, you're not going to have the experience on your team. You're there because of the abilities that you have and not like how they scale or what items you can buy.
yeah, and it's not, a support doesn't need utility. A support needs utility early in the game, as well as late.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You need some sort of 1, 2, or 3
Mhm.
power spike.
Mm-hmm.
Your level 15 3-item power spike is not going to cut it.
Right.
Yep.
And yeah, that's about the general idea. So again, like I point back to the discussion we had earlier. If you want to play this stuff, you know what, man, go for it. If it works in your head, if you think it's going to work with your team comp, go for it. But make sure your team's on board. And I guess like good on you for like at least being cognizant that your team's not totally for it, and maybe you didn't end up playing these as much. But yeah, I mean, I'm all for like shaking up what to do in the bottom lane. Try to find something else that'll work. Any other points for that?
I'd say, given how it sounds like you want to play, pick up Zyra and Karma.
Yeah, there you go.
Brand.
Karma's excellent.
Brand too, yeah.
Brand.
Your mage, damagey, pokey supports more so than like it doesn't seem like
Vel'Koz?
you want to transition it. Hey, there's another one. Vel'Koz would be great.
Vel'Koz would be a good one.
Yeah,
because he's got the high base damages
And
and
true.
passive.
and true that.
But speaking of Vel'Koz, I played with a support MF earlier today, and I was Vel'Koz mid, and slows for days.
Yeah,
It was great. It's like, oh, make it rain. This makes my Q and my E so easy to hit.
All right.
Thanks.
All right. So I think we're going to call it there here for this week. Once again, thanks to everyone for writing in. We love to see more questions. If you got an idea for something that you'd like to see on the show, a topic that you'd like us to discuss, please write us in Twitter, Discord, subreddit, iTunes reviews, whatever it is. Get it in. We love to see like what you guys want for the podcast, and we'll be happy to always talk about Top Lane Lucian. All right. It's been a good night. Everybody sleep tight. I'll see you later. Have a good night.
Oh.
Bye, everybody.
Later.
Bye.